Hello, my name is Chance Nobra, and today I'm going to be talking about cruise line investments. As you know, there's a lot of hype right now, and it's really hard to cut through the noise when you see all these people who are telling you, oh, you can become a millionaire, or, oh, here's this free source of money, and we all know that's not true. So let's cut through the BS. Let's stop telling people, oh, this cruise line's going to go bankrupt, and let's get to the point, which is, are cruise lines a good investment right now? And how can I make sure that my investment strategy is safe, but gives me enough exposure to, say, a sudden vaccine release that leads to an immediate, bounce in the industry, that I can see enough profit that I'm happy with. And that's something I kind of want to go over with everybody today because I see so many videos out there that are trying to take advantage of everyone. And first of all, that's just wrong. You see these flashy headlines that try and get people to click on the videos. And for somebody who personally, I'm getting ready to show you the evidence right now, but for somebody who personally has a lot of experience in the industry, who knows sort of what they're talking about, and who can give you a pretty good perspective, I know that this is just flat out, predatory behavior, and I don't want to see anybody out there making unsafe investments in the cruise line industry, because the bottom line is it's not going to be a millionaire making investment for the majority of us. But that being said, there is a huge opportunity right now by investing in the right cruise lines, and making sure you do your research and taking advantage of getting these stocks right now, and taking advantage of the dividends, because you're going to get, a stock that's way undervalued in my opinion right now. And basically in 2 years' time, you'll be able to take advantage of the things like the dividends and all of that, knowing that you paid half the price that everybody else is going to have to pay once the cruise line industry rebounds. So, why am I qualified to talk on this? Let's get to that first of all. So, the reason I decided to make a video, cut into the noise, to, try and get out here and make sure people are making the best decisions possible given all the information, is because I don't benefit from anybody, losing their life savings, placing a bet, or using the market like a casino. I don't benefit from people being misinformed. The bottom line is the cruise industry is going to react the way it's going to react. I'm not going to tell anybody that, this is a foolproof investment or anything like that. We all know the variables, the risk, and obviously you have to have some understanding of that before you even get into the market. But that being said, with the market the way it is right now, there are a lot of factors that are making it difficult to determine actual value and how much you should be investing, and when you should be scared and when you should know that you are safe in your investment. So, let's get to why I'm qualified on the matter. I've been on over 26 cruises, and I have the proof to show you guys right here. I am ranked platinum status on Carnival and Princess Cruise Lines, which both are owned by Carnival. Yes, this is going to make me seem very biased towards the cruise line industry, but I'll get into why that's not necessarily the case in just a second. So first of all, let's go through these cards. This is from one of my first cruises. Ooh, sorry. Let's see. Back in 2006. So, come on, focus. As you can see, 2006, Carnival. Alright. 2007, Carnival. 2007 again, 2009. I mean, I can go on and on. I'm not lying when I say I've been on 26 cruises. I don't have any reason to lie about this. And I'm not doing this to brag or anything like that. Personally, we're not, I'm not going on these cruises and getting platinum suites or anything. We stay in the interior cabins, and we try not to, spend too much money on these vacations. But when you travel on a budget, you can actually, go on quite a few cruises, and it's a great way to take a vacation. Oops, sorry. Here we go. This is one from Princess. Here's some of the exposure to the other cruise lines, just so y'all can see I'm not just biased towards Carnival either. I've been on about 2 or 3 NCL cruises. Here's my other Princess Cruise Line cards, which they are now sticking to each other. And 2 more Princess cards. And I'll show you a few Royal Caribbean just to make sure my point gets across. I've actually been selling a lot of Royal Caribbean lately on the Liberty of the Seas out of Galveston the last few years. This was my first Royal Caribbean cruise back in 2008. You see 2016, 2017, 2018. So, we've established I've been on cruises. I know what I'm talking about. I have some insight in the industry. So, when I talk about cruise line investments, I'm not just talking about it as somebody who wants to make a profit on the rebound of the industry, who sees this as an opportunity to make, buttloads of money. Because the bottom line is I'm not able to invest a crazy amount of money into cruise line stocks. I wish I had a big stack of money to put into the cruise lines right now because, like I said, I see them as being at half of their actual value once things get back to normal, which I do personally believe they will get back to normal. But that being said, I want everybody to have the best information available to them so they can decide for themselves whether or not they should be investing in these cruise lines and whether or not their investments are something they feel comfortable with. Because the bottom line is we're talking about people's life savings, we're talking about people's retirement, we're talking about, for millennials like myself, the ability to possibly be able to buy a house at some point, which was not a realistic opportunity for us a few years prior, before there was really any access for us to the markets. Which, yeah, you can say we had access, we could have paid for, a trader to manage our portfolios or whatever, but the bottom line is I don't agree with that at all, and I think the ultimate equalizer is zero commissions trading, and that's what gives us such a great opportunity right now. You have these two things happening at the same time, which makes it a little bit confusing with the coronavirus and the rise in popularity of Robinhood. And it does make these valuations very, very hard to gauge because you have all of these people who, again, are treating the market like it's some sort of casino, and it's hard to actually tell what's people actually losing faith in their investment and what's people just being afraid of missing out on, whatever profit they have at the moment, or that they won't be able to realize these gains because they're not sticking it out like they should, or they're not, seeing this as a long-term investment. So, first of all, let me also put in, why I don't believe I'm too biased on the subject because I'm going to be totally realistic. There are things like the pollution, the fines that Princess recently received, which Princess is my personal favorite cruise line to go on. I don't like, to acknowledge that. I don't like, it doesn't make me feel good that, these cruise lines that I've been supporting have, been engaging in that sort of activity. But I'm also not going to acknowledge these sort of things and make sure I'm making the best investment possible. Because they do factor in, and if a company's being irresponsible, I shouldn't feel comfortable with my investment in them. But that being said, obviously we have the government who is enforcing the laws, the environmental regulations, and making sure these things are being looked at. And obviously they have had to make changes and things like that. So I'm not necessarily concerned about, the cruise industry as a whole when you factor in things like global warming and things like volatility because of how they source their workforce and things like that. And I can get into that too. The bottom line is that cruise lines do take advantage of tax havens, and they don't necessarily pay their workers the same way they would pay American workers at minimum wage. But I don't feel that's unfair because I've actually, as you can see, I've been on 26 cruises. I've met so many of these people working on these ships, and these ships have given them an opportunity to put children through college, to give their families opportunities they didn't have before. And we can't go around enforcing, American standards on the rest of the world when the rest of the world is not as developed yet necessarily. So, yes, they are benefiting from it. No, it's not ideal or how a perfect world would operate, but it's another thing to consider whenever I'm looking at cruise line investments as a whole, and whenever I see any instances that make me concerned about how a cruise line is treating their staff, that raises red flags for me immediately. So I look for those sort of stories. Now, you also will get a lot of stories where you have a disgruntled employee who, isn't necessarily being honest in their presentation of the way they're being treated, or um, just the reality of the situation, especially when you have some of the people who are accustomed to, the American treatment and um, getting their way or being treated, you know, a lot better. The working condition, let me put it this way, it requires you to have a certain work ethic, and some people just don't have that work ethic, and they think they can jump aboard a cruise ship and it's going to be a good time. I'm going to go work on a cruise ship, and it's going to be the best time of my life. It's going to be such an adventure, and they're not necessarily considering it's also going to be hard work, and you're going to be expected to do your job. And so that's why you also have a lot of noise from disgruntled employees that you have to factor in as well. But overall, the cruise line, or the cruise industry itself, the reason I love it so much as an investment is because I know that, all considered, the product itself, you have something that you don't have um, available in any other form or manner. There's no way for you to get your dining, your entertainment, and travel to multiple places and do it all for under $100 a night. There's just no way you're going to be able to accomplish that um, on a vacation. So the bottom line is you have this opportunity for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford travel, um, to take advantage of a cruise which provides all of these things and does it at such a great value that it gets people excited. It gets my generation excited. It gets everyone pretty excited about their next vacation. And yes, I've been very fortunate in being able to go on 26 cruises, and so maybe I don't have the same level of concern about my next cruise as a lot of the other people in the country who might be, suffering from financial hardships or might be dealing with um, some form of unemployment or things like that, instability, which I can't say anything about how the rest of America feels, towards cruising, but I can give you, the opinion of somebody who's had plenty of experience with the industry across all three lines, and I can tell you how I feel personally and what I believe. And I think that you can use that to give yourself a better um, understanding of cruise line investing and what's safe, what's potentially high risk, and what should be your red flags on your cruise line investments. So let's go into it. I got my Robinhood account opened up here. I'm going to switch this out here. Let's move my face. Alrighty, so obviously, like I was saying earlier, I'm not somebody who has $100,000 to invest. My investments are based off of, the $3,000 or so that I can afford to invest at the moment. I have 3 shares of CCL, 6 shares of CUK, which I'm probably going to end up buying more of. 3 shares of RCL and 2 shares of NCLH, but NCL, which is Norwegian Cruise Lines. So, what are my investment strategies when it comes to these cruise lines? Let's get into that. So, who do I like as a short-term investment option, or strictly for giving myself exposure to, a COVID vaccine hike in pricing, or sorry, not in pricing, but the return of the cruise line industry earlier than expected because of a vaccine or something like that. So that's why I have shares of Norwegian, is because I want that exposure, and I was able to get in at a really good price point. So as you can see, my total return right now is 67%, which is absolutely crazy thinking, about stock markets and how they normally work. The reason I have Norwegian as my more short-term investment option is because, quite frankly, I'm not a fan of their product. I don't think they provide as good of a product as, say, Royal Caribbean or Carnival. And when I have my choice out of, which cruise line I can go on, if I can choose any other cruise line, I'm going to choose the other cruise line. I feel like Royal Caribbean and Carnival both have superior products. While Norwegian has been an innovator in the industry, I don't believe that they've necessarily been able to provide the level of service and the... That was my phone going off. I apologize. But anyways, I don't believe they provide the same level of strength and a long-term investment strategy. So that's why I say that they're my short-term investment. Now, for longer term, I'm looking at Carnival, I'm looking at Royal Caribbean, and as you can see here, I've got 3 shares of Royal Caribbean, which if my computer will load, I can show you a little bit more. And Royal Caribbean's trending at 61 right now. So pre-COVID, we have them peaking at 130. Now my threshold, personally, I think they're going to get back to 120 within a year to 2 years. So that's where I'm going to be at my sell point. And that's why this is one of my long-term investments. But Royal Caribbean's not necessarily the one I feel strongest about. The reason I feel very strongly about buying into Carnival right now is because Carnival has the most amount of cruise lines, the most amount of ships, the most value for your money if you're somebody who's looking for value in a vacation. And they have a product that I believe best balances, making sure the consumer gets the best value for their money out of their cruise, but also the best potential for growth as a stakeholder in the company. Now, one of the best tips I've been able to give people who are investing in the cruise line industry right now is everyone is buying CCL. Nobody seems to realize that CCL, which is priced at, come on now, it's priced around $19. It's going to be $19 and something cents if it'll let me get in here. Alright, yep, $19.35. Nobody seems to realize that CCL and CUK are both listed in the New York Stock Exchange. So, even though CUK might seem like it's investing in, a foreign market, or it's investing in Carnival in London, it's investing in Carnival, the same corporation as you're investing in as you invest in CCL. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how can CUK be $16 and CCL be $19? Obviously, one's providing something that the other isn't. Well, yeah, that's true. It's providing a voting share. So your CCL is going to be 2 to your CUK 1. But if you're not actually voting, then that doesn't matter to you. Why are you paying $19 when you could be paying $16? Especially when CUK pre-COVID trended higher than CCL. They both, stuck around the same pricing margin. For whatever reason, CUK would generally be higher than CCL. So right now, you can invest at $16.21 while everybody else is investing at $19. Now, some of you may be asking, why then do I have any shares in CCL? And my answer to you is going to be, obviously, I've been, very active in cruising on Carnival. I'm, a big fan of the product, and I do want to have say in the company. Also, if you have 100 shares of Carnival, you get $100 in onboard credit for every cruise you book. So, I'm invested in CCL because I want to eventually be able to take advantage of that onboard credit, and it's not transferable between CUK and CCL. So, I'm making my CUK investments because of the opportunity for growth. I'm making my CCL investments because I'm going to hold on to them long term. And I still get the same dividend on both of them. So it's not like buying in between, CUK and CCL is going to hurt me at any point. It's just I'll most likely, whenever I feel comfortable selling my CUK shares, I'll sell them and invest back into CCL for whatever shares I need to reach that onboard credit. So I hope I've been able to give you a little bit more insight into the cruise line industry and help you understand that there is a lot of noise going on, but those of us who are actually going on these cruises are dying to get back on these ships. There's a lot of pent-up demand, and there is a huge opportunity for people who are willing to wait 1-2 years, for people who believe in the power of the cruise industry to, last out until they can start sailing again. And for people who are actually investing in the market the way it was meant to be invested in, cruise lines are a great investment. But if you are, there's nothing wrong with investing in the market to take advantage of the volatility, but if you are, I just want you to make sure you're making, safe investments, and you're not playing it to the point to where you're going to hurt yourself long term, because I don't want that. I don't care whether, this video gets 1,000 views. I'm not going to put a flashy title so that, I can potentially profit off of somebody else making an unwise decision, because I'm not willing to play that risk. I want you to make the smartest investment possible. And I've seen a lot of curiosity about these cruise line stocks, and a lot of people are concerned about, whether or not they can make these investments because they don't have the same level of experience with the actual product itself that's being provided. So, as somebody who has that experience, I'm telling you right now, I really feel comfortable investing long term in Carnival, and I feel like there's a big opportunity, especially if you're paying attention. You can invest in CUK, like I was saying. That's a play that I really like, but there's a big opportunity across Carnival and Royal Caribbean for long-term investing. There's an opportunity for that sort of short-term investing, that exposure in Norwegian. That's my opinion. And now Norwegian might, also be a great long-term investment for others, but I'm just saying, as somebody who cruises, that's not my opinion. And if you are willing to hold out, then I say don't listen to the noise. Trust yourself, be confident in your investments, and know that right now you're able to invest in companies for, half the price you would normally be paying. And for somebody like me personally, who was able to invest, at price points where it was like $10, it's just crazy levels of return. So even more than, or under half price. So I'm really happy that I invested when I did, and I wish I could have invested more, but I'm just thankful that I got the opportunity, period. And I look forward to hearing back from everybody, seeing what y'all's responses are. I'll be happy to discuss this further with you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you like what you heard, if you felt this was helpful, of course, I will be happy to make more videos in the future. If you want to subscribe, I'm not going to be the person who tells you to. That's your decision, but I'm not necessarily going to be posting stuff like this regularly. I just wanted to make sure that I got this out there so that people were able to just make the best decision for them personally and not be vulnerable to all of these people who are trying to take advantage of something that's trendy and popular to make a quick buck, because that's, I don't think that's right. So just make sure you're being safe with your investments, and you're making sure that you understand these are meant to be things you hold on to for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, so that you can actually see real growth in value, and eventually be able to retire and do things like that. They're not meant to be quick sources of money. And I really hope that a lot of you are able to realize a lot of value in your actual lives by making the best investment choices you possibly can right now, and that it leads to you able to do whatever you're trying to do in your life. So I hope everybody's staying safe. Make sure we're all doing our part to social distance and things like that. And thanks for watching.